Good morning, everyone. My name is Sterling Higa, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd now like to call to order the February 4th, 2026 Kakaako Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. The time is now 10:05 a.m.
Chair, in accordance with section 92-3.7 Hawaii revised statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's Kakaako board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. The HCDA communication staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clear audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. It is important that all individuals clearly state their name, pseudonym, or other identifier name each time prior to speaking. If you wish to provide oral testimony and you're attending virtually, please indicate so by clicking the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen. If you are attending in person, you will be called to the front of the room in the order that you signed up. Before you begin your testimony, we ask you that you identify yourself, spell your name for the record. Your testimony must be related to an item on the agenda. All testimony will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. When time has elapsed, time will be called out, after which you will have 30 seconds to conclude your testimony, and then your audio will be turned off. If you are attending in person, the presiding officer will call the next testimony. Keep in mind that this is an opportunity to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. If the authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you. Chair.
Thank you. HCDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge you are present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect that the following members are present. Vice Chair Ishii.
Here.
Thank you. Secretary Lidstone.
Ew.
Thank you. Member Miranda Johnson.
Yeah.
Thank you. Member Anderson.
Here.
Thank you. Member Evans.
Here.
Thank you. Member Strikes.
Here.
Thank you. Member China.
Here.
Thank you. And Member Sakota.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. For today's meeting, board members will be permitted to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to provide their testimony respectively. Moving to agenda item number 2, approval of minutes. These are the regular meeting minutes of January 7th, 2026. Board members, any comments or corrections to these minutes? Seeing none, minutes are approved as presented. Agenda item number 3, for information and discussion. This is an informational presentation by HCDA staff and HCDA's consultant, SSFM International, on the progress of the plan and rules update for the Makai area of the HCDA's Kakaako Community Development District, consisting of approximately 136 acres of land established under section 206E-32 Hawaii Revised Statutes. Mr. Ryan Tam, Director of Planning and Development, will now present the update along with Ms. April Supernant of SSFM International. Mr. Ryan.
Good morning, Chair Higa, and members. I would like to introduce April from SSFM, as well as we have staff here, Nancy Ishikawa is managing project for us.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Aloha, members of the board. So my name is April Supernant. As Ryan said, I'm the manager for the planning team, strategic services group at SSFM. And we have been hired to work on this area plan for the Makai area of Kakaako. And so this is a brief presentation. You can go next. Brief presentation to outline the project and give you a sense of what's coming, what we've been doing and what's coming next. So we'll do a project overview. It's not clicking over there then. Okay. We'll do a quick project overview. We'll look at the schedule and the planning process overall, as well as outline some of the engagement strategies that we are taking on and then next steps. So for project overview, the basic premise of this project is to take into consideration all of the history behind this area, but to take a fresh look, to engage community in a new way, to engage in a variety of different ways, which I will share with you, and to look to create a unified vision in today's world. So to look comprehensively at existing conditions and where we are. We know there's been some shifts in land in ownership. There's been shifts in community interest overall. And so we're taking a fresh new look at this planning process to plan out and look for what the future of the Mackay area might look like. We will address a mixture of open spaces, cultural assets, infrastructure needs, as well as recreational needs and things like that. You'll hear a little bit about what we're starting to hear from the outreach and engagement that we've been doing, and there's much more to come. Go ahead. So the goals of the project is really to uplift the community voices, to listen to everything all of the different groups and community members that we're engaging. We have a large workshop that's coming up in the first week in March, which I'll share with you in a moment. So that is that's our primary goal, is to listen and learn, and then incorporate that mana'o. We'll be looking to create a shared vision of what the future of Kakaako looks like. So that will be a version of an aspirational or vision statement, which will guide this overall planning process. And we've been doing some of that work, and we'll continue to do that work throughout the workshop that's in March. We'll identify land uses, transportation, infrastructure needs, cultural. We will take into consideration cultural practices and uses, and even history of the Mackay area, as well as environmental constraints and opportunities. We will be looking at land use scenarios. So part of our scope is to identify 3 different land use scenarios. Once we get through this initial workshop for visioning, then we'll be outlining some different scenarios, and we'll be coming back to you and the community with those scenarios. We're looking for innovative and creative opportunities to address a lot of the existing conditions and that we have in the Mackay area, and create a final plan that is really meaningful and will set the stage for you all making decisions going forward. This planning process will also include recommended amendments to the regulatory guidelines, so your rules for the Mackay area. Go ahead. So our overall process, we're in phase 1 right now, moving into this board presentation and also the community vision workshop. The next phase of the project will be to take all of this information, create that vision statement, which will go back out to the community, and we'll start developing those scenarios, the different scenarios. At that point, we'll come back out to community with the scenarios. We'll do another workshop, big community workshop, looking at those scenarios, get feedback, and then that will be refined into what is recommended in the overall master plan. Once that is done, the plan itself, the draft plan, will come through you all and staff, and then it will go back out to community again for more outreach, at which case we will start to develop the rule changes, the code changes that will incorporate what the plan is recommending. One of the things that we have in place, and part of our vetting process, is once we have some draft rules in place and we work with staff with those, we're working with UHCDC to develop a think tank of sorts to bring in experts that they may be landowners, they may be architects, developers, they may be a variety of people that are experts in the field to help us vet those Mackay rules. HCDA did that, or excuse me, UHCDC did that in I think in the Mauka area as well. And it was very successful. And so we're gonna incorporate that again in the Mackay area with the proposed rules.
That's a UH Community Design Center.
Yes, sorry, thank you. So we have a lot of different things which will present itself on the next slide, but we have a website. So we encourage everyone to go to the website, check out what's currently there, which is mostly factual information. We have a sign up list. So please share this out with your respective agencies and communities to sign up so that you and they can receive updates as the plan progresses, updates on upcoming outreach and things like that. So we encourage everyone to please sign up. And they will receive, there is a question and comments form. So we do receive all of those and we're happy to get back to people if there are specific questions. And then the fact sheet is also available. So there's a snapshot there of the fact sheet that's available online. Some of the work we're doing, and this is a one slide snapshot of all of the outreach that we're doing, but we've been talking with a lot of agencies, governmental agencies that specialize in various subject matter to glean as much mana'o as we can from those agencies and how this future plan is affected, how their work is affected, might affect the plan and how the plan might affect their future work. We're also we worked with Ward Research for focus groups, and they will also be doing a survey for us later in the process. So the focus groups included residents from the Kakaako area, residents from outside of the Kakaako area, businesses within the area, and then also community organizations. And so they were asked a lot of questions and there was great discussion through that process. We're also doing one-on-one interviews with a lot of the agencies in the area, as well as landowners and community groups that directly use the Mackay area. Those one-on-one interviews have taken place, and we've also sort of reorganized those working with One Shared Future into small groups, and we've had those small group discussions. And so we are now synthesizing a lot of that information that will also feed into the workshop that comes up in March. So up until now, this is a bit about what we're hearing from those that we've talked to thus far. We know there's a lot more outreach to go, but just wanted to give you a short synopsis of what we're starting to hear. That making sure that the area is accessible by vehicle and having concerns about parking access. That includes people who work there and want to use the area, and where parking is available, they want to maintain that accessibility. So that seems to be coming up time and time again as a concern. There is mixed feelings about the residential development in the Mauka area, primarily the structures that are sold but empty. And so that has posed a concern, what we're hearing from residents of the Mauka area, as well as business owners in the Mauka area, that there's not as much, they bought into something they hoped would be even more vibrant than what is existing in some locations. And so that has been raised as a concern. It's been brought up the need for education and sharing out any misperceptions or miscommunications about past efforts or other things that just might be misunderstood. So part of our workshop is also going to be very educational. We're going to have a Q&A session and things like that. So that's part of the workshop that's coming up in March. there's been a fair amount of input thus far of wanting it to be more lively and inviting and active. And so I think that's very encouraging. We as a project team think that's very encouraging. And then there does seem to be a desire for housing, but housing from what in various price points, but more often we hear affordable and what our local residents can actually afford. And so that's what we're hearing thus far. There are a few people that don't prefer residential, but again, we're getting mixed reviews about that, but that's to be expected. Thank you. So this is the workshop that's coming up on March 7th. We will be doing a more extensive presentation than what you're seeing today to outline the overall planning process. We'll look at existing conditions. We will have a 3D we're working on a 3D model, having that available. And we will be sharing out much more about what we've heard thus far, and then really working with community to create that vision statement. We don't know that we'll come out of the workshop just to set expectations with an actual statement, but the idea is to really hear more from the broader community, open public forum of what people envision and would like to see in the Mackay area. We have it set up in a little different format with there'll be some introductory information as people come in, because it will take a while for people to come in depending on how many people attend. So there will be information available for them to learn about as they're mingling. There will be a presentation, relatively short. We're keeping that short on purpose because really we want to hear back from people. We want to spend the bulk of that workshop hearing back. And so there will be a Q&A session that will likely be set up in subject matter stations with subject matter experts to be able to answer and address specifically those questions that people have. And then there will be many opportunities to share about vision. We'll give them different options to choose from. There might be some sticky dots, lots of sticky notes. So we have a variety of different ways that people will be able to provide information and feedback and talk story.
It's gonna get salt.
Oh, yes, and it will be at Salt. It will be at the barn at Salt. We're looking at a time frame between 10 and 2 that day, so we're nailing that down now. So next steps, we will have this visioning workshop. We will distill and summarize all of this information that we were getting, and again formulate that vision statement for the overall future of the planning process. After that, as previously mentioned, we'll get into scenario development and then vetting those scenarios. So we are looking at 3 different development scenarios, and we will 3D model those so we can fly around and see what that looks like from a variety of different angles, looking at view planes and things of that sort. There will be memos that come with that describing all of that work. We will do additional interviews with stakeholders, landowners, tenants, local organizations that we've been talking to, and additional small group discussions to further vet those scenarios before coming out to another workshop, which I mentioned. There will also be a community survey, other stakeholder meetings, and neighborhood board presentation. Phase 3, again, just briefly, because it's a ways away, and I think we'll be having this discussion a few times through the process. We'll develop that administrative draft from everything we hear of the 3 scenarios. We will vet that back out to the public. And then the phase 4 is developing the rule amendments and vetting those rule amendments through, you can go next. Vetting those rule amendments through the policy design tank. Go ahead. I think that's it. Yes. I'll turn it back over to you, Chair.
Great. Thank Thank you. Members, any comments or questions for Mrs. Superdon?
April, I'm interested in the development of the 3 scenarios. How soon, those will be ready for the board to take a look.
Those will be, we'll be looking at those probably in the summer, late summer. That's what we'll be looking at for the scenarios. So through this workshop process, we are developing criteria, and we'll continue to do that through everything that we're hearing in the workshops. And then we'll be working with staff to develop sort of what those 3 scenarios might look like before we actually start building them. And then they'll get tweaked from there as well, but probably late summer.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Will the 3 scenarios also have an infrastructure cost estimate associated with them, or will they be just sort of a visual rendering of what the different development visions that people are presenting to it?
Sure. The 3 scenarios will not do a rough cost estimate, but that will be done for the final scenario that moves forward into the development plan. There will be infrastructure analysis, but not necessarily the full cost. Yeah, that will be done. That will be done once we get to the final that's moving forward.
But not for the 3 different scenarios, so we could compare the different costs of each of the 3 scenarios.
And we'll have a sense. I can look at that, but our formal cost estimate was in the scenario that moves forward, or the combination of, pulling different pieces of those 3 scenarios moving forward. But we can look at that and talk with
I think from a state perspective, knowing at least a rough order of magnitude for the infrastructure involved in the 3 scenarios would be helpful in looking at what would be needed to implement the adopted final plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Evans. I see a question from Secretary Lidstone, and then we'll go to Member Anderson afterward.
Yeah, mahalo. Just a comment. I think your educational component is so powerful. And I really appreciated how you shared what you're hearing from people. That's really powerful as well. And I also like that this visioning workshop is on a Saturday. So, because especially for working parents, many times meetings on weekdays in the evening are very difficult to get to, but it's a great day to have an educational component like this. And your visuals as well on your slide, it's just very appealing and welcoming and comfortable. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you, Secretary Lidstone. Member Anderson.
Thank you. Is one of the development scenarios, could that be just to maximize public space? In other words, are all 3 scenarios anticipating development in the Mackay area?
I would say that that's not yet determined. Yes, it's possible that no development could be a potential scenario, but we're not predicting that yet because we're waiting to hear more from stakeholders far and wide.
Member Anderson, does that answer your question?
I guess so, yeah. I'm hoping that community doesn't feel that we're using this process to open up a lot of new development in the Mackay area, given some of the past experiences we've had when those proposals are sort of put forward.
I imagine the community will express itself as it always has in this area. Members, any other comments or questions?
Chair.
Yes, Member Strites.
Thanks for the presentation, April. I think your most challenging phase is probably going to be the visioning. And I was wondering if we've had very divergent views for use of that area and how it I guess what it's used for. So, and I guess considering that there's somewhat concentrated, limited number of property owners in the area, if you've given any thought towards like how you arrive at that shared vision, because you're going to hear from the community kind of in whole, and then, you know, have maybe different views for the from the property owners, if you're like planning to give any weight one way or the other, or how you would approach that.
Yeah, we are looking at that, and we're developing that the criteria is happening, and we are looking at that. I would say that, in terms of vision, we still hear a lot of we're hearing a lot of similar words, if you will. And one of our consultants, and we're gonna do the same on a broader scale of using a word cloud or phrase cloud to show the variety of input that we're receiving, but which ones are rising to the top, which ones really shine and come out. But the vibrant, active piece, whether for the people who prefer no development and open space, they still talk about it wanting to be active and vibrant and inviting. And we're hearing the same thing from the landowners, that it's accessible and that it's an enjoyable place to be and interact with. That I think that, you know, there are still some less developed or industrial type uses that you know, we can look to see if that's still the future of the Mackay area, or if those redevelop, be it open space, waterfront promenade, retail, you know, type services that people can take part of when they're in the space. Those are all options. We also hear things thinking about having some sort of an anchor that pulls people there. That's one of the other voices that we hear, is an anchor. There's been talk of museum or expansion of the Children's Discovery Center, or I know it's been talked about before, but aquarium and other things like that would be sort of a pull, that would still be recreational or educational in nature. So I think all of those are on the table for what may move forward.
Great to hear.
Thanks, Tim.
Just one last question. I wasn't clear from your project timeline slide when the draft plan is anticipated to be complete.
That is the draft plan will be in probably the fall of this year.
Okay.
Mhm. So if we're in the scenarios in the summer, we'll do that workshop, and then we'll be in the fall to be looking at, maybe late fall, looking at a draft plan.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Chair, yeah,
Please.
make a comment. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, April, and your team for the job that you're doing on it. I want to also thank, you know, myself, thank Brian, Nancy and Martin and his whole team for overseeing this. So I wanted to comment on something Member Anderson said, and I wanted to just reiterate this. You know, when we started on this planning effort, it was envisioned, it still is envisioned as a professional planning effort for the Mackay area. Because there's no shortage of opinions about what Mackay looks like for different people, I thought it would be important to come up with a plan and rules. And that plan is a community master plan. And I want to emphasize, it's a community master plan that takes into account the different voices, the visions, the 3 different development scenarios and other factors. And I want to make this clear, when I spoke with April and her team, you know, my vision was not to have a preconceived notion of what is going to be allowed in Mackay or not allowed in Mackay, but to let it come out of the planning process. So again, to be really clear, because clear is better, right? That whether residential is comes out of it, what doesn't come out of it, or other uses, that's going to come out of out of the visioning, the community. And it's gonna be a community plan that incorporates community voices, community vision. So I have no preconceived notions about how that's gonna turn out. And that's the direction that I given to April and her team, and it's what I've said on the record several times. So just want to be clear about that, Chair. And remember, Addison, I just want to be sort of clear about that too, is that I don't have any preconceived notions about what's gonna come out of the community visioning and the plan. Thank you, Chair.
Great. Thank you, Director. Members, any other comments or questions? We'll move now to public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up? Any persons present or online wishing to provide testimony? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone online for Keith?
Keith.
Yes.
Keith, if you'd like to testify, please limit yourself to 3 minutes. And if you could identify yourself for the record before you begin your testimony, we'd appreciate it.
Sounds good. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great. This is Keith Winnicott. I'm the owner of the F45 Training Ala Moana. Just wanted to commend, I thought this was a great presentation. Really like the amount of community feedback that you guys are pursuing for this project. I think as a community member and speaking for other members of the community, I think we would really love to see more solicitation of community input for other projects going on as well. But this was a great example. It seems like you guys are going above and beyond to get community input on the direction. And I think that's something that could be considered for other projects. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Winnicott. Any other persons signed up wishing to testify or online?
No, sure.
None. We will close public testimony. Members, any other comments or questions? Otherwise, thank you, Mrs. Supernaut. Appreciate your presentation. Thank you, Mr. Ryan Tam.
Thank you.
That was for information only. So we will move now to the next agenda item. This is an update by HCDA staff on performance metrics for the Honuakaha Senior Rental Housing Project located at 545 Queen Street, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813, and further described by Oahu Tax Map key number 2-1-031021. Mr. Garrett Sasaki, Chief Financial Officer, will now present the update.
Madam Chair, board members, the update is included in tab 3 of your packet. There's a little change from the previous reporting where this one reflects the entire calendar year of 2025. So you can see that kind of snapshot. Total income expenses reported. There is a net loss of $338,000, but the accounting is accrual basis. So what occurred is HCDA was not paid its ground lease. We just deferred it. So it's recorded as a payable. It's still there, but we didn't collect on it. The total tenant receivable on the financial statements was $309,000. That's a pretty high balance. We have to work on getting that down. Going down to the occupancy metrics, you can see that we have 24 vacant units as of December 31. But substantially all of those are rent ready now since that point in time. But they still have not been filled. Other objectives, we have the 2025 audit tax return to commence shortly. And I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett Sasaki. Members, comments or questions? Mr. Garrett Sasaki, when we met with the representatives from MDI, we had requested a few pieces of information from them. Have we received the sort of updates that we requested?
We have not, but we'll cover that in the next agenda item, line by line.
Great. All right. Members, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, open public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up wishing to provide testimony? Any present or online wishing to provide testimony? Close public testimony, and we'll move now, seeing no questions or comments, to agenda item number 4, an update by HCDA staff on the performance of Mark Development Incorporated under that certain management agreement for Honuakaha Limited Partnership for the Honoakaha Senior Rental Housing Project located at 545 Queen Street, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813, and further described by Oahu Tax Map Key Number 2-1-031021, dated September 21st, 2023, but effective as of October 1st, 2023. As a note, the authority may convene an executive meeting pursuant to HRS 92-5A4 for the purpose of consulting with the authority's legal counsel on questions and issues relating to the authority's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities relating to the above item. Mr. Garrett Sasaki, Chief Financial Officer, will now present the update.
Thank you, Chair. This topic was discussed at the December 3, 2025 board meeting. There were a list of 5 deliverables that Executive Director Nakamoto listed out. Schedule of receipts from 2025 that agrees to the rental income, a correct and revised accounts receivable report, letters to tenants dated January 6th for those delinquent balances, internal processes for the application and move-in, and a list of applicants that are ready to move in. As of today, we have not received any of these items.
Thank you. Members,
But I guess moving forward, we will come back to the board with a recommendation on what our plans are for the property in March.
got it.
Long-term plans.
Yep. Members,
Long-term plans.
comments or questions on this agenda item? Yes, Member Strikes.
Just curious how many times you asked for them?
After this meeting, after the summer meeting, we followed up once. So just lay out the expectation.
Oh,
Remember strikes though, I mean, when these 5 items were read by me at the last meeting, Mr. Watase was here. We asked if he could provide it, and he said yes.
I have a
Member Evans.
question. Is there has Mark Development provided a live-in manager for the rental units? Or
No.
for the entire lot?
No,
No, so no one, are any of their employees on site, daily or weekly? To your knowledge?
on-site daily during regular business hours. There is a property-wide security that's on site from 4 PM to 2 AM
Uh-huh.
Okay.
that will report issues that come up.
Are you aware whether an employee of Mark Development visits the building, the facility, on a regular basis? Or,
Yes,
yes.
yes, so there's one, specific person assigned to the property. This person is here on site Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or something like that. And as part of the regular annual renewals, there are unit inspections.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Evans. Members, any other, or? Yes, yeah.
To just add, previously there was a live-in resident manager for the elderly rental units, under locations and private property managers. We found with very high turnover of that position that perhaps there was issues with that live-in component.
Yeah.
So that's when, we decided to separate the resident manager from being a live-in to just a manager, more like a Monday through Friday business hours type of role. So that is what MDI is contracted to do, is provide that regular business hour management rather than the live-in component.
And that you have observed that they're there.
Yeah, their hours are a bit earlier, so it shifted kind of earlier in the morning to a little bit earlier in the afternoon. But yes, they're supposed to be there during the daily business hours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Members, any other comments or questions? And thank you, Lindsay DeWitt, for hopping in. Okay, seeing none, we will ask for public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up wishing to provide testimony? Any present or online wishing to provide testimony on this agenda item? Seeing none, we will close public testimony. Members, any comments or questions? Otherwise, that was for information purposes only. Thank you, staff. We'll move now to agenda item number 4, the report of the executive director. This is the monthly report and other status reports, including approved permit applications that did not require HRS 206E-5.6 public hearings. Executive Director Nakamoto will now provide his monthly report.
Thanks, Chair. The report is at tab 4 of your packet. One of the things I'd like to point out is that we are receiving some 5-act requests from residents of the Lana Ward Village, and we're working with the Hawaii Home Ownership Center on a possible buyback. We, on the Kolowalu Dog Park, there was a resident request to change the park hours or close it earlier. It normally opens from 6 to 10, so we agreed to close it an hour earlier at 9. We're also instituting a regular maintenance schedule for both parks, so we're closing it from 10 to 3 every Monday for park maintenance. And we don't seem to be getting any negative feedback by those maintenance closures. I think they're actually welcomed by the community they understand it's necessary to keep the park, in good condition. And if we have to adjust the park schedule again because of community feedback, we're open to that. But right now the park is open. Both parks, Mauka and Makai, are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Great. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, comments or questions? Seeing none, open public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up wishing to provide testimony on this agenda item? Any persons present or online wishing to provide testimony on this agenda item? Seeing no one who would like to provide testimony, we'll now close testimony on this agenda item. That brings us to the end of the agenda. So thank you to all of those who joined us on Zoom or in person. Thank you, members of the board. Thank you to members of the public. Thank you to staff. We will adjourn the meeting. The time is now 10:47 a.m. Thank you, everybody.
Mahalo.
Oh.